known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.
What is going on, guys? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. You are watching Puck Time. I am Andrew McInnis. I have Carmine Bianco with me and Buster. Looking forward to today's show. We got 4 great games to discuss. Some games with some great scenarios, great situations, and some potential to be some very competitive contests here. I just want to mention Carmine Bianco before I throw it to you, because I know I don't want you to promote yourself. I know you do have a big play up today in soccer, but you are also the $2 Tuesday handicapper, so I didn't want to waste any time. I wanted to get that out of the way right away. Guys, make sure you go to WagerTalk.com, Carmine's page, grab his plays today, or better yet, buy a day pass, get everything he's involved in for today. But feeling pretty good, Carm. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Starting to feel a little bit better. I will tell you this, man. If it was yesterday that I had to wear that heart monitor, that thing would have sounded like the inside of a casino, just binging off like crazy while I watched the Bruins blow another lead within the last minute of the game. I cannot believe this team, man, for the life of me. 1.8 seconds left against Columbus yesterday. In the last 30 seconds against the LA Kings, and then they go into overtime where games or bets go to die, as we all know. But with that said, it was a 1-on-1 day yesterday in the NHL. I'm thrilled to be the $2 capper. It's been a good NHL season thus far. It's picked up very well, especially 2022, like 51% bankroll gain since the turn of the year, and 65% run the last 3 weeks, 39 and 21, I believe. But with that said, man, you're the number one capper in NHL at WagerTalk, and you hit a 5% play yesterday, Andrew. So a huge congrats to you on that one. The Leafs, it's a good thing you weren't wearing a monitor yesterday, because when they blew that 3-0 lead, I'm pretty sure that the collar got a little tight there. And then you know who else won a 5% play on that same game, I believe, and the total. This man, let's put this picture up. I absolutely love this picture. Ryan, one of our guys who regularly watches the show, put that picture up there. Ryan, if you're watching this show right now, send me a message to our Puck Time account, a DM. I'm going to send you a Puck Time T-shirt when they come in later this week, and I'll get one out to you, man. I absolutely love this picture. Let's bring him in. Buster, congrats, man.
Thanks, Carmine, and I just want to thank Ryan. He's a longtime customer and good guy. I talk to him on DMs like I do with a lot of clients, and but he likes to do these memes. He's a pretty talented guy. So, and I'm glad you're giving him a shirt. That's pretty good of you there, Carmine, because I don't know if you can make it out to Vegas, which I don't even like talking about that because I can't make it myself. But, yeah, everything's going well. Really looking forward to this weekend with the golf, and March Madness is just next week around the corner. I don't have to tell you guys that because I'm pretty sure you'll be leaving next week to go. I'm not sure what you're doing about the Puck Time shows. Maybe you guys will get together and do it together in a Vegas hotel room, or maybe even, who knows, maybe one of those Vegas brothels or something. Who knows? We'll have to see how you guys do it.
Puck Time will happen. We will be having Puck Time on Friday. I won't be on next Thursday. That's my travel day. But yeah. Buster, I just wanted to say, look, I had the Leafs in regulation, and I released that overnight, so Sunday night, and I got that minus 135. Price changed a little bit, but there actually wasn't much movement. But I'll tell you what, brother, I would have much rather have your over in that game. I'm happy we both won, but I would have way rather had your over. I mean, it's kind of funny when you're notorious for hating on a team, but you have a 5% play on a spot you thought was great for them. So it was the one day where I had to cheer for them. But even while I'm cheering for them, I'm like, I hate this team.
Well, it's funny you say that. Even in my write-up for this, like I actually had it overnight, had it at 6.5. Told everybody I put it up for $9 because of that. Well, it was $9 Monday also, but told everybody in the write-up, once you get this play, you'll be looking at 7 probably. There was still a lot of 6.5s over 40 though when most people got it. Then it went to 7. But again, I actually said the score they should get 10. They got 9. Oh well. Made a mistake on that. But again, I'm a full believer. Like I've sat on this show, I don't know how many weeks, probably since October. The Leafs and Edmonton are almost identical clubs. They can score a lot of goals. If they face a really good club, they're no good. They face really bad clubs, bet the overs. And I'm telling you, I actually thought you might have seen 7.5. I wrote in my write up to the clients that I thought you might have seen your first 7.5 last night. It wasn't there, but I'm glad we got there. So.
Andrew,
sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Andrew, listen, man, I'm living in the bizarro world here because I'm listening to Prez, who is a diehard Leaf fan, literally cheering some nights for the Montreal Canadiens because he's played them. I've got you, a diehard Canadiens fan, cheering for the Leafs. I'm telling you, if this was a Seinfeld episode, I would be living in the bizarro world right now because I just don't get it. But I'm a fan of money, so I have no favorite team. Well, I do, but they're eliminated 2 weeks into the season, so I don't have to really worry about that. I cheer for, it's all ones and zeros, A's and B's. I'm just cheering for the team that is going to make me and my clients money at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Good segue, Carm.
Agreed.
Let's try and make some money for our viewers right now. Let's get into some of these games. We're talking Panthers, Pittsburgh, Stars, Preds, Rangers, and Wild, and the Lightning and the Jets to cap things off. And our very first game we will discuss tonight will be the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Florida Panthers going head-to-head here. Florida minus 125 on the road. We got Pittsburgh plus 105 short dogs. Talking about high totals here. This one's at 6.5, but hey, pretty much every single game that involves the Florida Panthers, we're probably going to see a 6.5 with the way this team plays here. Lots to be said about this game, including the jam-packed schedule. I talked about this Pittsburgh Penguins team a few short days ago, and or last week, I guess, about the schedule that they were about to face. And Brian, actually, when you weren't on, Carm, he called the Pittsburgh schedule coming up Murderer's Row. And I thought that was a little bit, comedic, but also very accurate. They are playing really tough teams, Tampa Bay, Carolina, now Florida. I mean, it does not get easy for them. And, when we talk about looking at these schedules and planning it out and doing the buy and sell segment and all that stuff, you want to find out who this team is playing next, who they played last, and all that stuff. And right now, it looks like Pittsburgh's certainly been battle tested recently. Now they're back at home here. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Florida played last night, but did they really play? The Sabres didn't show up in that game, and that one was quickly over at 6-1. And I think we saw a lot more in the third period of those third and fourth lines. Excuse me, for the Panthers, and now this is their third and 4 nights. They're fourth in 6 nights, I believe, and they're going to Pittsburgh. Both games between these two this year have been good ones. Pittsburgh come off that loss against Carolina. It's actually kind of funny. I had Carolina in that game, and someone tweeted at me that I was lucky to have won that game. A game in which Carolina dominated the Pittsburgh Penguins, finishes 3-2. I think 43-24 with the shots on goal for Carolina in that game. And Letang picked up a stupid penalty in OT. The refs put that whistle in their pocket in that game, and that penalty was only called because Letang took literally three shots at the Carolina player. He let the first one go, and then the second and third, he finally called them on it. You had to call it 3 hacks and a spear, and it cost Pittsburgh in that game. Listen, they're playing well. They're playing extremely well defensively, and as such, I'm going to look at not the side but the total here. I'm going to go to the under. I think this game plays more like the last game between these two that I think finished 3-2 in OT for Pittsburgh at home, as opposed to that 5-4 OT win. 2 games, 2 overtimes. We talked about it last week in one of those games, I think, or one of the games where all 3 games had gone to OT between the 2 teams. I wouldn't put it past it, even with 2 very good teams that can score goals. They can also play defense when needed. I wouldn't put it past it that this game could go to OT as well too. That's not going to be my play on this game. I'm going to go with the under in this game, Andrew, and I'm going to throw it to Buster.
Well, Carmine, I can't actually. I've got some stats, and I can't blame you for that under. But I personally not going to bet Florida under. Just can't do it. But I agree with, and I'll get to why under could be the play here, but it won't be for me. I think this is probably the toughest handicap of all the games that we got, even the ones that we're not going to talk about. They've split the first 2. This is the rubber match. I actually, because Florida's on a back-to-back, and as you said, they didn't really, they played, but they still played, right? They played, they got to travel. So I would lean Pittsburgh because I believe when I saw it was like a pick. That line might have changed. I didn't check in the last hour and a half or so, unfortunately. Here's the thing. I always talk about this. Florida and Pittsburgh, really tough time. 6 wins, 20 losses in the last, 15 years or 10 years, whatever you want to call it. But still, they struggle in Pittsburgh, right? The home team in this series is 7-2. So that puts me a little bit on Pittsburgh with the spot for sure. Now we'll get to those things about the under. In this series, right now, the under is actually 7-1 in the last 8 between these clubs, which you would never think. When I was going through, doing all my studying for the game and everything, I was shocked to see that. Just, especially when I know they played 5-4 this year already. They played 5-4 in Florida. They played 3-2 in Pittsburgh. Going to get both number 1 goalies tonight. So I can see going with your under. I can't take that, Carmine. Good luck to you on that. But I will. I'm not sure if it's going to make my card, but I do like Pittsburgh. I might wait to see because more and more Florida money might come in because a lot of people like betting that Florida club. So maybe later on in the afternoon I may have a little small play on Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, Buster, before Andrew jumps in, to your point of that, and yeah, that 5-4 game was in Florida. It was literally the second day of the NHL season, and obviously we know, I think sometimes the offenses are ahead of the defenses, much like in other sports as well too, because we saw some high-scoring games to start off the NHL season. 4 of the goals in that game were scored in the last 11 minutes, and then of course the winner in OT. So literally 5 goals scored in it. So for the first 51 minutes of that game, there were 4 goals scored. It did look like it could be a dead under at one point, but with the high total. But 6.5 here, juiced to the over. I might be interested, as you said, with the best goalies going. It's supposed to be Jari and Bobrovsky going here. That because Knight played last night for the Panthers in Buffalo. That I might take that plus money on the 6.5 and go under here. I know Florida overs, Andrew. It's tough. This team can light it up, but Pittsburgh's playing well as well too. I talked about it earlier in the season. They've been playing well defensively. When they're winning, they're playing extremely well defensively.
Absolutely. That's why I have a future on them. That's why I like this team. And, between teams like them and Carolina, they have the ability to win lower scoring games and be tight checking. But just like Buster said, it is tough, playing under with this Florida team being involved. But, I was going to mention the same thing you just touched on, but Carm, real quick about the goaltending situation. Obviously Knight's a great goaltender as well, but when you kind of have a game against the Sabres and you know who your opponent is the next day, you can save Bobrovsky for the next day. That's what they've done. And now Tristan Jarry versus Bobrovsky. So I think, back in the day, the backups or the back-to-back angle was such a fade because there was such an immediate drop-off from the backups. But I talk about this all the time. There isn't as much of a drop-off from guy 1 to guy 2 now. There's not really that huge discrepancy for every single team from goalie 1 to goalie 2. And tonight, the way that they've set it up to have, their number 1, like Buster said, here tonight against Pittsburgh, I think it's a good spot. So I think, there's 2 different scenarios that I like to look at for handicapping in this. There's number 1, we've had Pittsburgh has played 2 top-tier teams recently, Tampa Bay and Carolina. They've definitely had their, their skills tested. You look at the Florida Panthers, it's been quite the opposite for that team. They've played Detroit and Buffalo and Ottawa their last 3 games. Do they come into this one unfocused, or do they come into this one and say, that was a walk in the park last night, we're ready and locked in to go? The angle I'm choosing to go and take is the Florida angle here. I think Pittsburgh, I cashed a nice plus money ticket on them against Tampa Bay, stayed off that game against Carolina, but I just think that they're going to be focused here in this one. Pittsburgh's first game back here at home. And as much as I think they're a great team, I think Florida can just outmatch them here with how deep they are. And they might catch them off guard a little bit here, guys, with their scoring. So I'm looking at the short price here for the Florida Panthers with Bob in net. So I like the Panthers tonight. Talking about some underplays as well. How about the Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators, guys? If you follow WagerTalk on Twitter, you saw them talking about this Dallas Stars team when they previewed this game or previewed puck time coming up here. Buster, what do you think about this Dallas Stars team? They're plus 115. Nashville's minus 135. Always a good one when these 2 teams get together.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew. This is another great game, great handicap game here. They just played a couple weeks ago, I believe, and Nashville won 2-1. Nashville's up 2-1 in the series, I believe. How good has Dallas been on the road? Really good. They're 8-2 last 10 on the road. They're also 9-3 in their last 12 games. So they've been playing really well, no doubt. But here might be their kryptonite. And they come to Nashville. They don't play well in Nashville. They're 1-5 the last 6 games in Nashville. It was a big win last game for Nashville when they hammered San Jose, I believe, 8-0. So that was a big win. I don't know. Nashville's 1-2 the last 3. Not really sure about which side I want to take here, because it's just you can see Dallas is playing well on the road. Nashville historically is very good at home. So if anything, you got to look at the total here. The total's 5.5. That's a tough total. But the total in Nashville has been 15, 6-5 to the under. But then if you want to look at the other side of that, the over has been 7-3 in Nashville's last 10. The over has been 7-3 with Dallas with the days of rest. So to me, it's not like we say all the time. We want to come on here and try to give people, a side or a good reason why you take a side or why you take a total. I think for me, with Ottinger in net tonight and Saros, I'm looking at this game will probably revert to the 2-1 game that they just played a couple weeks ago, especially now that there's a huge fight for the playoff spots in that West. I mean, if you take a look, like everybody's right, it's like a log jam, and there's a lot of teams trying to get in there too. And then there's 20-something games, so it's kind of wide open. So you might see between these 2 teams tonight, you might see a little bit more of a defensive struggle, even though they have been trending over of late. So not sure, again, if it will make my card, but I would be on the under here, just as the game we saw 2 weeks ago that went to 2-1 in overtime.
Carm, yesterday's show, we had several different games that we discussed where teams have played very recently. Last week, it was a couple weeks ago, as Buster talked about, this is another opportunity to handicap 2 teams that have just recently played. How does that impact your handicapping?
If they play back-to-back, I normally and through the season in the small sample size, teams that are playing back-to-back have split out, so regardless of where the game, whether it's the home team losing at home and then going on the road. I think we saw that with the Dallas Stars, where they lost at home to Colorado, went to Colorado and beat them. We saw it with St. Louis and Calgary. It didn't happen in the Calgary, Minnesota. Calgary is just playing lights out hot hockey right now, and they beat Minnesota in both those home and aways. When I look at this one, that first game, 2-1, went to OT. These are two good teams, and as we get into this final stretch of the NHL season, 25 games left, points are a premium, and you're going to see a lot of playoff type hockey. We didn't see it last night with some high scoring games, but you look at a game like even that Bruins game, that looked like some playoff type hockey that needed some OT. Could you see OT here? Yeah, you probably could see OT here. I think the price is it's aligned right just because of the way Dallas is playing right now and winning games on the road. But this is still a very good Nashville team, a good Nashville team at home. You look at some of their losses that have come at home, and they're against some quality sides. Obviously, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Winnipeg, Vancouver. Obviously, the Buffalo one maybe not so much, but a good team playing at home, and you're laying 135. Saros is a very good goalie. My only concern with Dallas down the stretch is Ottinger playing and picking up too many games, because at some point over the course of a long season, it's a wear on a goalie. You need to get your number ones some rest time, and he's not getting as much as a lot of the number ones in the league. Just kind of like we just discussed with Bobrovsky. So with that in mind, while this Dallas team is picking up a lot of wins on the road of late, which they didn't have at the beginning of the season or for much of the season, I'm still going to go with Nashville here at a very short price, 135 to get the win here.
All right, looking at Nashville. For me, guys, whenever these type of scenarios pop up, I'm not saying this is an auto bet scenario for me, so don't quote me that this is something that I just do every time. But a lot of the times what I like to do is whatever happened with the total in the first game, I usually go the opposite the second game. And I think that's what I'm going to do here. So we got a little disagreement here, Buster. Only 2 games in, but it's going to happen here on the show. I just think that you kind of look at some of the competition that Nashville's faced, San Jose and Seattle, the last couple of games here, and this is obviously a different test, but they played each other recently. A lot of times I see more power plays in these scenarios. Gets a little more chippy. Players kind of start to check after the whistle or get a little reckless with their sticks. And also the film. I always stress how advanced the technology has gotten in sports. I mean, you guys see it in the NFL. I mean, these guys have probably like 100 iPads on the bench, or same thing with the NHL. These guys are getting on the bench and checking things out immediately what just happened. And, if I was a player and I had a bad game against the team and I get the chance to play them a week and a half later, you can guarantee I'm ready to fix the mistakes I made and play better. And I think in this day and age in the NHL, I think that benefits an over. So a slight lean to the over here. Not my favorite play. Also, don't love going against Buster as he's had a great season. So it's nice when we're all on the same page. At least I think so. So just a small lean.
Hey, Andrew, can I just say a couple things here? Andrew, I just want to, actually, that is our second game that we've disagreed on. You're taking Florida. I like Pittsburgh. So just wanted to set the record straight. It looks like you're being devil. You're being me. I usually always against you guys, but today you're going to go against me. That's all right, Andrew. That's good. I like when the young buck gets a little feisty over there. That's good stuff. Toughen you up for Vegas. Vegas is going to be a tough role for you, Andrew. You need to be toughened up for Vegas. So I like that in you. I like that.
I say you guys settle in the puck time octagon. We should have a WagerTalk function where we just we have a bracket style tournament and see who's the last man standing in that one. I'll officiate all of this stuff. I'm not a fighter, but with that said, my final point on that game, Andrew, was in talking about like Ottinger on the season is if you look at Tampa at Dallas's last 16 games, he started 14 of these games. There hasn't been much of a rest for this guy, but he's been phenomenal on the year. He's having a very good year, and as such, Dallas is starting to win some games. a good goalie wins you those 3-2 games, and that's what he's doing for this team right now. But if they continue at this pace, when they get into those 4 games in 6-night stretches, it's going to wear on him. I have to believe.
Yeah, it's something that you've talked about before, Carm, about, these goaltenders and having rest and have they played too many games. And it's interesting for us to follow. And it's nice to be able to find spots when backups get in and they can help their team. But if you look at a goaltender that's playing too many games, it's not good for the team. And you talk about getting into an octagon. The only thing I want to challenge you, Buster, to is a Cuba Libre drinking contest. And we'll get that going someday in Mexico somewhere. But that's the only contest I want to have with you guys. But our next game
I'm looking forward to that, Andrew.
Sounds good. That'll be a fun time, and hopefully we remember it. The New York Rangers and the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are -140. We have the Rangers +120 on the road. The total's at 6 in this game. And Carmen, I'm going to go to you here with this one, but I just wanted to say real quick, I mean, last week, for me, talking up that Wild team and looking at some of their results, that was one of my swing and a miss type of buy and sell segments as far as that one goes, because the Wild are definitely slipping a little bit here. And yet here they are -140 favorites at home. And if you're a recent form type of handicapper, you're not happy with this price. You're not buying into it. But this is still a great team, and they have a great record of playing well at home. So how do you approach this one, Carm?
Yeah, I think right now I've got the Minnesota Wild on a pause, Andrew, because they're 2-8, their last 10. This is a team that is clearly struggling, and their wins came against the Oilers, beating the Oilers 7-3. And if you remember, I mentioned that was the Oilers' 5th game in 7 nights, an absolutely brutal spot for the Oilers, and the Wild took advantage of it. Their only other game is a 5-4 win in Philadelphia. So this is a team clearly struggling, and they're struggling in goal. Cam Talbot is he's having some problems. They're having problems, and this is why with the when you were talking about teams with 2 very good goalies or 2 good goalies, one sort of that 1 and 1A. You don't have that in Minnesota right now, I have to believe. And we're 13 days outside of the trade deadline, which is March the 21st. And I still believe it's going to be a hot goalie commodity. Before I get into this game, we talk about teams in need of goalies. Edmonton, if they even make the playoffs at this point right now, that Koskinen and Smith one, I know it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, but it's what it is. You look at Toronto, and I'm sorry, but the Campbell and Mrazek thing, I just don't see it working in the playoffs. They're going to have to badly outscore some teams because they're going to allow some goals. Campbell had a great season last year, but that was a shortened season with all games played in Canada, and that was an outlier of a season for Campbell. He's clearly struggling and is struggling in the second half of the season, and Mrazek is having a tough time. So Toronto needs to get a goalie in there if they want to make any kind of a run in the playoffs, because this isn't just about scoring; it's about playing defense and having a goalie who can win you some games. And this is the problem with the Wild right now. You look at the Rangers, and you might not like Georgiev, but you have to love Shesterkin. And if he doesn't get injured, he'll go as far as the Rangers will go as far as he can carry them. Because they don't always score the goals, but he keeps them in games. And with that said, I'm like, this total opened at 5.5 and somehow went to 6. At least I see the opener at 5.5 and went to 6, shaded to the under. But if it's Shesterkin in net, I'm going to take the under. You give me a good goalie on the road against a team that is struggling, and even if Tampa somehow finds a way of winning this game, and they are favored to do so, it very well could be one of those lower scoring games. So under 6 for me in this one. Buster?
Yeah, can't blame you on that under, Carmine, that's for sure. And we talked about this last week, actually. We had Minnesota was playing Calgary, and I took Calgary, and I know we had talked about how, Minnesota, I think at that point they had lost 3 in a row. They have a great club. There's something wrong there. Not too sure what. Obviously, I kind of do know what. They don't have any goaltending, unfortunately, just like a lot of clubs in this NHL. The goaltending isn't good, that's for sure. And I mentioned Talbot last week, saying the reason why I was taking Calgary is because Talbot was confirmed that day. And I believe when I looked, like I say, I hadn't looked for about an hour, there was no confirmation of goalies. I agree with you. If Shesterkin is in for the Rangers, you're getting Rangers at plus 130, 125. I mean, you can't play Minnesota. And as you said, Carmine, they've only won 2 of their last 10. Although they really look like they should be a better club. But again, we see it all the time. Toronto, Edmonton, we can talk about this stuff, right? So for me here, it'll be all depending on the goalies. I'm not going to lay 145 with a Minnesota club just because, as they say, they might be due. That theory doesn't work in the NHL, and we've proved that time and time again as everybody starts hammering these big favorites when, like a team like Toronto, they play their 3rd game and they end up still losing in Columbus in overtime, or they play Colorado goes into Arizona and gets beat twice in a row at 340, 350. So, Minnesota at 145, to me, that's just a bad line. If you want to talk about totals, Carmine, I'll throw this in here. Minnesota are 9-1-1 to the over the last 11. So that's because of their goaltending, obviously, and they have a great team to score goals. The Rangers, though, are 9-3 to the under. So we got a team that plays overs and a team that plays unders. When they get together, the last 8 games, it's been 6-2 to the under. As you said, this is up to 6. Looks like a pretty good under. I worry about the goaltending, though, with Minnesota. Talbot's turn, which is scary in itself. So for me, I'm going to pass on a total. I think the Rangers, as long as Shesterkin's in net, that's the play. It's probably a game you want to pass. If you're a Minnesota fan, you better hope that they can score some goals against Shesterkin if he goes in tonight, because Rangers will score on their goaltenders. They have, even Kakinen is, they need help. Edmonton needs help. And you're right, Carmine, Toronto needs help in the goaltending. And one last little thing. How about even Colorado? Anybody watch that game on the other night? Then Kemper? Geez, he looked terrible there. So do you want him in your net going like in the playoffs? No, I know I don't. Geez, that was terrible. So there's a lot of good clubs with bad goaltending. So it is going to be very interesting. There's going to be some goaltenders making huge money at this trade deadline.
Yeah, Andrew, just before, I'm just going to jump in real quickly because I was mentioning this in chat when we talk about the goalies and buyers and sellers as the trade deadline approaches. And obviously, Fleury is one of the big names out there. There's teams that have tried. Washington has made 3 or 4 attempts to get Fleury. He won't go there. He's clearly said he's not going there. He's on one of the teams that are on his no trade list because he's a Pittsburgh Penguin, true of heart. So he's never going to go back there. He's never going to go back to, obviously, the Vegas Golden Knights, who probably could use him over there as well, too, because of the way management treated him at the end. So he's not going to go there. And here's the funny thing is, because we know Toronto is the hockey capital of the world, apparently, but the news agencies here are starting to report that the Leafs are going to try and make a move for Fleury before the trade deadline. I don't know where they find the money in that cap space to get him to fit in here, unless it's some type of a 3-way deal through Arizona, where Arizona picks up all the cap space or all the contract money. But it is funny, the stories that are going to come out over the next 13 days as far as players moving from team to team.
I'll tell you what, guys, every single year, these guys just, you talk about beating a dead horse. How many weeks do they hype up the trade deadline? How many weeks do we see so many discussions and programs and NHL Network and TSN, ESPN, all of this hype up, and it's always underwhelming every single year, the NHL trade deadline to me. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative here. NHL free agency in the summer is really fun, but trade deadline is to me very underwhelming. We'll discuss what happens when it happens. But there's always hopes, there's always projections, and then, very minor amounts of these hopes end up coming true. But we'll see what happens, and I have heard from what I've seen through a lot of people I follow on Twitter that they're trying to tell the sellers, the buyers are telling the sellers to be careful or be patient, because they have to figure out all their cap stuff. And that's why we haven't seen too many moves made yet. So apparently, be careful with kind of your projections on teams and who you think is going to go where. Wait a little bit, because I think this might be one of those years where we see trades come in last second at that deadline, guys. So, and real quick about this game, I think we all can agree, just like Buster just said, this line is probably not where it should be. It kind of reminds me of last week when we had the Washington Capitals playing the Carolina Hurricanes. Every single person woke up that morning and said, why the hell am I getting this price with Carolina? What happened? Well, Capitals won that one like 3 or 4-0. This, to me, is a fishy line. There's something weird about this with Igor in net, with New York being the team that they are and playing a team like the Wild that have lost 2 straight. Something just is fishy about this one here. I like the under in this game. I'm not going to play a side. I'm going to stay off. Something just, to me, smells off in this game. And I mean, I would go with the dog. It'd be dog or pass for me. But I've learned a lot of things in life. And sometimes I've learned when things are too good to be true, there's probably a reason for it. So we'll see what ends up happening with that game. But our last game we are going to discuss, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Winnipeg Jets, the late game here. We've got Tampa Bay minus 170. They're on the road. We have Winnipeg plus 145. If you want the puck line for Tampa, you can get minus 1.5 at plus 145. And the total is at 6 in this game. Buster, yesterday on my buy and sell, for the second time since I've done this segment, Winnipeg fell into that sell category just based on how they're playing, based on their schedule that I take a look at for this coming week here. You look at that minus 170. I know you and I, especially you, always say, hey, be careful with this pricing. But don't you think that, I'm not saying I'd lay 170, but don't you think this is kind of cheap here for a defending cup champions against a Winnipeg team that hasn't been themselves pretty much all year?
Truthfully, it probably is cheap, but I mean, again, what's it going to be? It's not going to be minus 200, right? Winnipeg does play usually pretty well at home. I know they just, their defense has been terrible of late, right? Tampa Bay has been playing great. So you're right, but I can't, just because of doing this for 40 years, I cannot lay 170, 180 on the road, even though, because we've I don't know how many times I have to say it. We've just, these last 2 weeks, if that doesn't give everybody out there in the chat, everybody watching this, if that doesn't give you any indication about betting these big road favorites, I don't know what will. Can Tampa Bay win this game 7-4 tonight? Yeah, that's going to work for me, because this is what my favorite play is on the over here, is the over 6. Tampa Bay's been playing great. They've won 7 of their last 8. The Jets, not so much. They've lost 6 of their last 8. They've really struggled on D. The over is 9-3 in the last 12 games in Winnipeg between these clubs. The over is 8-2 last 10 road games for Tampa Bay. The over is 10-4-2 last 16 home games for Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg can't come and try to, although I said this about maybe a month ago, and they actually end up winning 2-0 against Minnesota or somebody.
I remember that.
Maybe they can play defense, but it's just not, at this point in time, they just don't look like they can. So what's their chance? They can play a little offensively at home. I can see this being and I say this a lot too, with a home team that's a big underdog. I can see Winnipeg giving them a game tonight, so that's why I kind of I'd stay away anyways. But over 6, yeah, that's the play. That's my favorite play of the night, is over 6. Plus, I do have my show play that is I kind of like as well. But that's the play for me, is over 6, guys.
Awesome. Kyle, what are you thinking here, man?
I'm thinking I'm going to go outside and hide my head in the snow, because I actually agree with Buster on the total in this one. And much for the same reasoning. Listen, I think Winnipeg gives them a game tonight, but I think Winnipeg is going to become a seller at the trade deadline. We're 13 days away from that, Andrew. They've got 7 games until the trade deadline. They've got Tampa Bay, the Devils, the Islanders, St. Louis, Vegas, Boston, and Chicago. In all honesty, they need to win 5 of those games to even be in a playoff race, and I don't see that happening with this team. I think they're at some point they're going to become a seller. Tampa 8-2 their last 10. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is winning games. And as we get into the final stretch run of this season, they're pushing for that number 1 seed in the Atlantic, and along with the Florida Panthers. So you look at Winnipeg, and Andrew, look at their last 10 games, and this is a team that just isn't playing with a ton of confidence. While they have gone 4-6 their last 10 games, you look at it, you can make excuses. I hate to do it, but you can make excuses for the games they've won. Playing a Minnesota team struggling. They beat the Seattle Kraken, then they lose 4 straight games. They beat Arizona. They beat Montreal in a game where they blew a 4-0 lead to Montreal in the first period before coming back and scoring the last 4 goals of the game to win that. And then they follow that up with losses against Dallas and the Rangers. This is just not a team that is playing playoff hockey with 25 games left. So while I agree with Buster, I don't want to lay $1.75 on this game. I'm looking at the total because I think it literally is Winnipeg has entered the do or die zone of their schedule, where the next 7 games, if they don't win at least 5 of them, this team is a seller come that 21st trade deadline day. So I'm going to go over the total here, agree with Buster, and then cool myself off outside by sticking my head in the snow.
Well, what a nice way to end this show off. Besides that last note, but what a nice way to end the show off. Then all of us being on the same page here, pretty much. There's been some disagreement. We're like a family here. There's been some disagreements. There's some shots getting fired. But hey, this is a happy ending for the show that hopefully works out well. I wanted to say as well, guys, I like the first period over in this game. You know, a lot of times people ask me, what makes you like the first period over different, from the full game? The truth of the matter is, a lot of times when I take that first period over, the full game also hits too, or vice versa even sometimes. But I have a feeling that we get Winnipeg's best effort, like Buster said, but Tampa Bay has been unbelievable with their first periods. But they also give up some goals in the first periods too. They don't really turn it on defensively until the second and third period. So looking at this right now, you can get about minus 130, 35, first period over 1.5. And I think that Winnipeg has been, pretty sloppy defensively, like Buster said, in the first period. So all 3 of us expecting some goals here, Tampa Bay and Winnipeg. Let's get it done. All right, that's the show. So you got, no, we got some best bets to get into. I wanted to leave on that note. We can't do it. I'll start with you, Buster. We got a best bet from you tonight. And of course, tell us what you have up for your clients and what people can purchase from you tonight.
Thank you, Andrew. And I was going to reiterate a little comment on my brother Carmine there, but now that I see you guys are like basically running Wager Talk with this show here, and Carmine's got that stoppage time, I figure I just nod and smile and be happy that you guys invite me every Tuesday. So I'm good with Carmine taking shots at me every once in a while. And I guess all I can say is that I have to go outside and sit on a beach. It's only about 100 degrees today here, so it's kind of a little too hot. But anyways, go over to Sports Memo. Get our March Madness package. You get every game from right now. There's all the conference tournaments are going now. The big dance starts next Thursday. Well, actually starts on Tuesday with some playing games. $177 for all our plays. We're having a really good college basketball season from 2022 on. Actually up 60% units for our customers this last month in college basketball. Actually, we were doing even better. We had a little off week, not off, but I think we went like 8 and 10 last week college basketball, and still plus 60%. So go over, get that package. If you're into college basketball, you want to grab that package. I'll also have a golf package up tomorrow, big golf tourney up. So might want to go grab that. We had a big golf weekend last weekend. And you know what, Andrew? I have to give you my picks. I didn't give them to you last week, and I almost had an outright winner there too. So anyways, it was a little close. But let's get to what you guys are here for, not listen to me babble on about my golf and basketball. I've been pretty good with these first period plays. I know a lot of guys don't like them, and a lot of guys do. So here we go again. This is the one I found today was St. Louis. First period puck line, only plus 110. I know I've been spoiling you guys with 175, 145, 130s. But I really like St. Louis here. They've lost their last three. As I said, the West is really tightening up. I know they got a 7-point lead on the last place team, I believe. But, I mean, there's still lots of games to go. This is Ottawa's last game of their 5-game road trip. Haven't really looked all that good, although the score looked good for 2-1 against Vegas, but they didn't really look that good there. I think St. Louis comes out right away and gets a couple goal lead on them. Ottawa just wants to go back home where they'll be able to be on a nice 5-game homestand. And I like say that of all the games, this is the game I picked out for the puck line play.
Awesome, Buster. As always, great to have you on. Great to have some jokes. And hey, feel free to remind us about that great weather you're having. It just makes me excited for next week going to Vegas and getting out of this snow, honestly, and shoveling. So that's not fun. But those first period puck line plays, you know what? If people don't like them, they don't like money because you've been cashing in for them. And I think they're fun. And it's a great way to find value. So over to you, Mr. Carmine Bianco here. We have couple great plays from you tonight you can find at WagerTalk.com. Like I said, I think people should just buy a day pass or a 3-day from you because you have so many big plays going. But remind folks at home what you have up for tonight.
Yeah, my first thought is Buster on a beach in a Speedo is one beach I do not want to be on. With that said, guys, I have a big play up in soccer today, Champions League, and of course, the $2 Tuesday play up at WagerTalk, along with a couple of great promos. It's been a very good run in NHL as I try and chase down Mr. Number One Hockey, my co-host, Andrew McInnis. With that said, best bet, I'm going to go to the Vegas Golden Knights and Philadelphia Flyers game. I'm going to go with the Knights in regulation time, minus 110. I think this team has turned the corner as far as starting to string a bunch of wins together. They're on a 5-game road trip. They're going to play the Flyers, then the Sabres, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Winnipeg. And they have a very good chance of winning at least 4 of those games. The Pittsburgh one might be a tough one, but I'm going to take them against the train wreck that is the Philadelphia Flyers, who are coming off a win, and they might be full of themselves. They don't normally win 2 in a row. So give me the Vegas Golden Knights, minus 110 in regulation tonight as your show best bet.
Awesome stuff. Vegas in regulation. Guys, for me, so far, I'm looking at 3 plays in the NHL. It was just the one play last night. And again, I appreciate all of you guys for joining me. Last 365 days, number 1 at WagerTalk with 5% plays. Great start for me to 2022 plus 90 units just on the year so far, January, February, March. So we'll try and keep things going here. Stay red hot in the NHL. So grab a pass for me today. Day pass, you can get some basketball plays as well. I got several plays going out. Props as well today. I've been very quiet with the props, I'm not going to lie, but today there's a few I do like, so I'll get back in action with those. My best bet, I talked about it earlier in the show. I'll keep it short and sweet. I don't love fading this Pittsburgh team, but this is a spot I'm willing to do it here. Give me the Florida Panthers here, minus 125. You know, we've seen Pittsburgh play back-to-back really tight, really tough games. This will be their 3rd game against a really elite opponent. I just think the Panthers are ready for this one. And last night, unless it's really a letdown for them, I think that was like a walk in the park, like Carmine mentioned against Buffalo. The Panthers will be ready, and Sergei Bobrovsky will be the starting goaltender for them tonight. So Panthers minus 125. It's my puck time best bet. We have Carmine Bianco looking at Vegas in regulation at minus 110. And Don Buster, St. Louis, first period, minus a half at plus 110. I want to take this time to thank all of you for joining us, whether it's on YouTube, listening via podcast form, or wherever it may be. We appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.